Ike ran with the pregnant slave girl and his wife as they tried to escape from King Odumodu and his warriors. He vowed to protect them with his life as they ran deeper into the forest. In the heart of Zuma Kingdom, where honor and valor were cherished above all else, lived Ayaka, a great warrior revered for his prowess in battle. As the chief warrior of the kingdom, Ayaka led his troops with courage and skill, with Odumodu, his second in command, always by his side. After a victorious battle against their enemies, Ayaka and his warriors were on their way returning home, their heads held high in triumph. However, little did Ayaka know that treachery and betrayal lurked in the shadows of his own camp. Zuma Kingdom has no king and will crown Ayaka king on his return from battle. Odumodu knew about this and wanted the throne for himself. Odumodu, consumed by envy and ambition, plotted to seize the throne for himself. Under the cover of the night, the warriors decided to camp in the forest for the night and to continue their journey home in the morning. When the camp was shrouded in darkness and the warriors lay asleep, Odumodu crept towards Ayaka's tent with malice in his heart. With swift and silent movement, he struck Ayaka down, snuffing out the life of the rightful king. But fate had other plans, for Ayaka captured a slave woman during the battle, whom he fell in love with. Unknown to Odumodu, the slave woman have developed feelings for Ayaka, and Ayaka's child grows in her womb. And as she witnessed the betrayal unfold before her eyes, she knew she had to act. In the morning, sun rose over the camp of Ayaka's warriors, casting a golden glow upon the land. As the warriors prepared to return to Zuma Kingdom, eager to reunite with their people and celebrate their victory, suddenly a cry shattered the silence of the morning as Ike, one of the warriors, also Ayaka's trusted man, stumbled upon Ayaka's lifeless body in his tent. Shock and disbelief rippled through the camp as the warriors rushed to the scene, their hearts heavy with grief and confusion. How could this have happened? Who could have killed the mighty Ayaka? They murmured among themselves, their minds racing with question and suspicion. Before long, all eyes turned to Odumodu, Ayaka's second in command, who stood among them with a mask of innocence. But the truth could not stay hidden for long, for the slave girl, her eyes brimming with tears, stepped forward, fell on the ground crying as she revealed the dark deed she had witnessed in the dead of the night. She recounted how Odumodu has silenced Ayaka forever, his hands stained with the blood of his former leader. Fury ignited in the hearts of the warriors as they confronted Odumodu, demanding answers for his treachery. Yet, he denied the accusations, his voice dripping with deceit as he sought to maintain his grip on power. In a desperate bid to silence the witness to his crime, he swiftly took over the power of the head warrior. Odumodu commanded the warriors to execute the slave girl, but in a moment of mercy, their hearts softened and they allowed her to escape. They were loyal to Ayaka as they didn't touch her, and she also revealed to them that she is with child for Ayaka. They told her to run, urging her to flee back to her own kingdom and safety. The warriors of Zuma Kingdom mourned the loss of their beloved leader Ayaka in the bush. As the warriors of Zuma kingdom returned to their land, their hearts heavy with sorrow for the loss of their beloved leader, and suspicions lingering in their mind. The villagers gathered at the village square to welcome them home. Amidst the bittersweet homecoming, they prepare to crown a new king. As the villagers gathered to celebrate the return of the warriors, the chief priests and elders convened to discuss the unsettling events that had transpired. While the warriors sang their songs of triumph and danced in the village square, the air tinged with both joy and sorrow. A dark shadow loomed over the festive. Odumodu, now wielding the power as the head warrior, stood at the center of the crowd, his wife and son by his side. Unknown to the warriors and the villagers, Odumodu harbored a deep-seated fear for the unborn child carried by the slave girl, knowing that the child could potentially threaten his newfound position of power. Determined to eliminate any threat to his throne, he dispatched his loyal warriors to capture the slave girl and bring her to him. He said, "Go bring the slave girl to me. I want her dead or alive. Do not come back without her." Meanwhile, Ayaka's parents wept for the loss of their son, mourning the untimely demise of their brave and noble leader. Though Ayaka had no wife or child of his own, no one else knows about the pregnant slave girl except the warriors and the tyrant Odumodu. As the sun began to set on the day of Odumodu's coronation, the village of Zuma buzzed with anticipation and celebration. With the necessary rituals completed, Odumodu ascended the throne as the new king, his crown a symbol of power and authority over the kingdom. Despite the whisper of betrayal that lingered among Ayaka's loyal warriors, none dared to challenge Odumodu openly, for his newfound status shielded him from the consequences of his action. As the festivities continued into the night, a dark turn of events unfolded within the palace walls. Odumodu's loyal warriors, carrying out their master's bidding, arrived with the captured slave girl into the palace. With a whispered word from his servant, Odumodu's eyes gleamed with malice as he ordered the slave girl thrown into the palace prison. The following day, Odumodu descended into the depths of the prison with rage as he confronted the helpless slave girl, accusing her of daring to carry Ayaka's child and of speaking out against him. "How dare you?" he roared. He vowed to silence her forever. With a cruel command, he ordered his trusted guard to sever her tongue. He said, "Make sure you burn her tongue, ensuring her silence for eternity." "This is just the beginning," he yelled at her. As the slave girl cried out in agony, her pain echoing through the prison walls, Odumodu's cruelty knew no bounds. Promising further suffering for both her and her unborn child, he revealed in his newfound power, his heart consumed by darkness and vengeance. Meanwhile, in the quiet solitude of Ayaka's trusted men, Ike and Miri, a sense of unease settled over them. Though they share a drink and exchange words of concern for the slave girl, their thoughts were clouded by the looming presence of their new king and the uncertainty that lay ahead. They sip their palm wine as they recount their historical wars and memories of their beloved leader, Ayaka. Their moment of respite was short-lived, however, as a royal guard interrupted their conversation with news of a summon from the king. With heavy hearts and weary minds, Ike and Miri prepared to face the gathering storm that awaited them at the palace. As tension thickened within the palace walls, Odumodu's refusal to relinquish the title of head warrior ignited a fierce storm among the gathered warriors. As the new king was supposed to relinquish the power of head warrior to Ikuku, who was the next in line and also a loyal follower of Ayaka, with murmurs of disbelief and frustration spreading through the crowd, the warriors voiced their objection, insisting that Ikuku, the rightful successor, should assume the position. But Odumodu's grip on power remained unyielding. His refusal to relinquish the authority sparkled outrage among the warriors. Sensing the growing discontent and the threat it posed to his rule, Odumodu's mind churned with schemes and strategies to maintain his hold on the throne. In a chilling display of ruthlessness, Odumodu made a fateful decision to silence any who dared to oppose him. With a cold and calculating demeanor, he ordered his loyal guards to identify and eliminate all those who remained loyal to Ayaka, viewing them as potential threats to his reign. "I will take all of them down," he roared. As the palace descended into chaos, the warriors, who once stood united in battle, now found themselves marked for betrayal by their very king they had once served. With fear and uncertainty gripping their hearts, they realized that the once proud and noble kingdom of Zuma land now stood on the verge of darkness. As chaos reigned within the palace, Ikuku, Ike, and Mmiri received a crucial information they had been waiting for: the whereabouts of the slave girl. They were informed that Odumodu had captured the slave girl and held her in his prison. With their hearts burning with determination and a sense of justice, they swiftly devised a plan to rescue her from her captor's clutches. Utilizing the aid of Ike's trusted friend within the palace, they orchestrated a daring scheme to free the slave girl from her imprisonment. Under the cover of darkness, the guard responsible for her confinement was discreetly incapacitated. He was drugged and he fell asleep, allowing them to extract her from the palace ground. With noble and silent movement, the slave girl was whisked away to safety, away from the reach of Odumodu's grasp. She found refuge within the walls of Ikuku's house, shielded from the dangers that lurk outside. As the night unfolded, Ikuku, Ike, and Mmiri stood united in their resolve to defy the tyrants who sought to crush their spirit. With the slave girl now under their protection, they dared to hope that justice could prevail in the face of adversity and oppression. As the shadows of betrayal and danger loom over the kingdom, King Odumodu's reign of terror intensified. His fighters prowling the land like wolves in search of prey. Unaware of the imminent threat, Ikuku, determined to seek aid for the cause, left the slave girl under the protection of his house as he ventured out. Ikuku was ambushed by Odumodu's merciless fighters. Ikuku fell victim to their treachery. He was eliminated unaware by Odumodu's warriors. In their ruthless pursuit of power, they seized the slave girl again and dragged her away to be delivered to the king. Meanwhile, Ike, fueled by desperation and the primal instinct to protect his loved ones, made a harrowing decision to flee with his pregnant wife to seek refuge in a distant land. As they fled through the dense undergrowth of the forest, danger lurked at every thorn, threatening to consume them in its grasp. But amidst the chaos and uncertainty, a glimmer of hope emerged as Ike stumbled upon the scene of the slave girl's adoption. Odumodu's warriors were dragging her along with them to the palace, but with lightning speed and unwavering determination, Ike sprung into action, eliminating the palace warriors with skill and precision. With the slave girl once again in his custody, Ike wasted no time in fleeing deeper with his wife into the heart of the forest. His wife and the unborn child they carried by his side. Miri was ambushed and fell to an arrow attack. His violent spirit snuffed out in an instant. But in the depth of the forest, Ike and his companions found themselves pursued by the relentless fury of King Odumodu's fighters. 5 of them. With each step, the weight of their burdens grew heavier. The pregnant slave girl and Ike's own heavily pregnant wife. Yet, their determination to survive burned through within their heart. As they paused to catch their breath, the warriors drew even closer. But Ike, fueled by a fierce resolve and the primary instinct to protect those he loved, stood ready to face his adversaries head-on. With a battle cry that echoed through the forest, Ike met the fighters swiftly and unaware, with unwavering courage. Each strike, a testament of his determination to defy the odds staked against him. Though fatigue threatened to consume him, his spirit remained unbroken, his shout ringing out as he said, "I am Ike. I cannot die like a coward," he said. He fought tooth and nail to protect Ayaka's child in the womb of the slave and his wife and his unborn child. He eliminated the 4 fighters with 1 remaining. But then, in a twinkle of an eye, the only remaining fighter pounced on him unaware. Ike refused to surrender to despair. With every ounce of strength he possessed, he held down the fighter to the ground, buying time for his wife and the slave girl to escape into the safety of the forest embrace. And as he noticed that they have gone more further, with the last remaining fighter closed in on him, Ike knew that his final act would be one of sacrifice. With a fierce resolve, he wrestled his opponent to the ground, his blade slicing through the air with deadly precision. Though the fighter succeeded in eliminating Ike, his victory came at a cost, his leg maimed by Ike's final blow. The fighter returned to the palace to report to the king Odumodu what happened, how the slave girl escaped. King Odumodu's wrath knew no bound as news of the slave girl escape reached his ears. In a fit of rage, he seized his sword and eliminated the fighter as his 18-year-old son, Ikemba, watched in delight. With bloodlust in his eyes and his hands stained with the blood of the innocent, Odumodu eliminated anyone that opposed his rule. Everyone in the village was scared to talk. The chief priest only watched from afar as violence and chaos engulfed the kingdom. Odumodu sent out another batch of warriors in search of the slave girl, which they returned with no significant result, claiming that they did not see the slave girl. Probably she must have been killed by wild animals, they said to the king. But as the gods who oversees the affairs of men have it, in the warmth and safety of another community which they found themselves as they settled into their new life, Ike's wife, now known as the sister of the silent slave girl, because her tongue was cut off by King Odumodu, she could not say a word or anything to anyone. Ike's wife introduced her to the people of that community as her sister. So Ike's wife embraced her role as a mother with love and devotion. Months passed, and the community welcomed the arrival of Ike's son with joy and celebration. His birth, a testament to the resilience and bravery of his father. He was named after his father, Ike. But the true miracle was yet to come, as the slave girl, now heavily pregnant, went into labor. Days stretched into night as the slave girl endured the pains of labor, of childbirth. Her strength tested to its limit. The labor, which lasted for 4 days, which signified the 4 market days in the land, Eke, Ore, Afo, and Nkwo. It was a significant birth, a very long labor. And then, when the moment arrived, everyone present gasps in awe and disbelief as the newborn baby emerged from the womb with a golden crown resting upon his tiny head. What a sight! The midwives were in shock. What is the meaning of this? Could this be a bad omen or a good omen? Why will a child be born with a crown on his head? The midwife hurried as she ran to the house of the seer to summon the seer. Her footsteps echoed through the village, desperate for answers to the inexplicable sight before her eyes. How could a child be born with a crown upon his head? Who is he? As the midwife murmured in confusion, the slave girl exhaustively, gently cradled her newborn son in her arms. With tears of gratitude and love in her eyes, she wept, tears rolling down her eyes as she behold the beauty that the gods has blessed her with. Then she looked at Ike's wife, who was also in tears and confusion. Then she carried her son and passed him to Ike's wife, a silent plea for her to protect and cherish the child as her own. Then she closed her eyes. Ike's wife, still trying to figure out what she meant by handing over her son to her. She was still trying to touch her and know if she's okay when the village seer walked in. The village seer bowed in reverence before the newborn. Immediately, he set his eyes on him and proclaimed him as a being of great significance. With solemn reverence, he welcomed the child into the world as a symbol of hope for the future. He said, "Welcome, great one. Welcome, a child of great destiny, him who will reclaim greatness into the land. Welcome." As he bowed, everybody in the room bowed in reverence to the child. And as the village mourned the passing of the silent slave girl, a woman of remarkable courage and strength, Ike's wife embraced her newfound role as a mother to the miraculous child. With the seer's warning echoing in their ears, they vowed to keep the extraordinary circumstance of the child's birth a secret. No one will know about his golden crown. No one will know that he was born with a crown on his head. He was also born with an extraordinary powers which will unfold in the future. So they vowed to keep the circumstance of his birth secret, awaiting the time when the destiny would reveal its grand design for him.